What is up, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new deck profile video today. And we're bringing you a Speedroid deck profile. So some of you may or may not have known I've picked this deck up already, and I've been playing it on stream and having tons of fun and success with it. And the reason why I wanted to pick this deck up is because when I opened that box of Battles of Legend, or those boxes we got, I pulled a rubber band shooter and a kite drake, and the artwork on them looked really cool, and I've just kind of always wanted to play Speedroid, and did some further research into the deck and found out it was like extremely cheap to build, like $40 pretty much for everything here, which is like fantastic to see, to get a really awesome and fun deck for like less than 50 bucks. And it's a pretty potent deck. Like it's limited in what it can do, but sometimes your best fields are really strong. And we'll do a test hand or two at the end of the video, as you guys have been requesting based on the last deck profile. You guys seem to like that a lot, so we'll go ahead and do that at the end as well as maybe showcase a combo if we need to. But also, real quick shout out to Imperium Duelist, the lovely sponsor of this channel. They provide awesome dice like these ones you see here, this beautiful playmat I'm using, and many others like it. This is the Thunderstorm mat, and they have just released their brand new formula of sleeves for the effect and non-effect sleeves, and they come in this awesome box now with this artwork on it and this little text passage here and stuff. Very cool to see this stuff here, and the sleeves are basically 10 out of 10 if you ask me. And I'm using the Sandstorm effect sleeves here on the main deck, and the Charm effect sleeves here on the extra deck. So if you want to pick any of this stuff up, check them out. A link to their website is down in the description below, as well as a discount code you can use to save 10% off your entire order. So without further ado, we'll get into the profile. And to start, we have 3 copies of Mecha Phantom Beast Tetherwolf. This card is really just to be able to get into your rubber band shooter off of one card, because when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon a Mecha Phantom Beast token, which is also wind, and this card's level is increased by the levels of all Mecha Phantom Beast tokens you control. So when you normal this, you'll summon the token will come out as level 3, and this becomes a level 7. So that effect, its modifying level effect is kind of interesting. You can use that at some point to make an easier level 8 synchro like Kite Drake or Stardust Dragon, but really doesn't come up that often. You're just going to use this as sort of a one-card link into either Great Fly or your rubber band shooter, which is a really important card for this deck strategy. So being able to get into it as fast as possible is very nice. Then we play 3 Speedroid Horse Stilts, the first Speedroid card. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 lower Speedroid monster from your hand, and then during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, send 1 wind monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use the effect of Speedroid Horse Stilts once per turn. So this card is really nice, and I'll explain with a lot of our main normal summons in this deck why they're really good, because their first effects are not hard once per turn. The fact that you can normal summon them to summon a level 4 from your hand, that is not once per turn, and our link monster for this deck allows us to get an extra normal summon, if you will. It's like a Brilliant Fusion. So if we have multiples of these, we can resolve multiples, which is really nice. But yeah, this is a great play starter to get something out of your hand and be able to go into your link plays or synchro plays. Then we play 3 copies of Den Daiko Duke. Basically, this guy, you can banish from your graveyard to summon a Speedroid tuner monster from your hand or graveyard, and he's also a level 3 tuner himself. He cannot summon himself, but he can summon a lot of the other tuners we play out of our grave or hand to help extend. So this card is really nice. You kind of want to see it as quickly as possible, get it out in the field, get in the graveyard, so you have access to start using that effect to summon out your tuners. Speaking of tuners, playing 3 copies of the Speedroid Red-Eyed Dice. This is your level modifier. It's also a tuner in of itself. If it's normal or special summon, you can target 1 Speedroid monster you control except itself, and declare a level from 1 to 6. It becomes that level until the end of this turn. So this allows you to pretty much get into any synchro monster from anywhere from like level 2 to 7. Not that we play any level 2s, but it can get you into a 5, 6, or 7 to help climb into bigger synchro monsters like Crystal Wing, etc. So this card is really nice, and definitely want to play 3. Then we play 3 Tiktomborg. It's just so weird playing these 3, just because every deck that I've ever played this card in, I've only ever played 1, and I've always wanted to draw the Terror Top first. But in this deck, this card is actually really strong. If you control a wind monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you contribute this card to special summon one Speedroid tuner monster from your deck. And also, you cannot special summon monsters the rest of the turn except wind monsters. So you go into Terror Top. I'll just name like a, the combo that pretty much everybody under the sun knows at this point. If you've been through Zoo format, you're familiar with this. For any deck that played this as a level 3 engine like BA, you can special summon the Terror Top search this, special this, and then tribute it to summon a card like Daiko Duke or Speedroid Red-Eyed Dice from your deck, or Tri-Eyed Dice, which we'll get to in a moment, to be able to start off into your link plays and get that Daiko Duke into your graveyard. It does lock you into wind monsters, but we really only play winds in this deck, so it does not affect us at all. And then next, I'm playing 2 Speedroid Passing Glider. I decided to play Passing Glider over the Rubber Band plane, mainly because I was unaware originally of how good this card can be, especially when in combination with the Rubber Band Shooter. Well, first things first, if there are no monsters on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. So primarily playing this as a going first deck. When you go first, you can start your turn just by special summoning this, getting that on the field for either link fodder or synchro fodder, whatever you want to use it for. It doesn't make too big of a difference. But its other effect, it says when this card is tribute summoned, you can target one level 4 lower Speedroid monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Your opponent's monsters cannot target Speedroid monsters for attacks except this one. That last part doesn't really matter too much, but the fact that when we tribute summon, he basically acts as Yugioh, which we'll get to in a moment, or an Altair. He just revives one from grave, is pretty nice, because sometimes when we go into our Rubber Band Shooter, we have an extra monster left over, and we can use the Rubber Band Shooter's extra normal effect to be able to tribute summon this and revive something from grave and use it as sort of a extender, which is really great. Then 2 double Yugioh. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one level 3 or lower Speedroid monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So this is sort of like the counterpart to Horse Stilts. And again, that effect is not once per turn. So if you start your turn by normaling this to bring something out, you can use this effect again later on off your Rubber Band Shooter to normal summon again and bring something out from your graveyard again, because it is not hard once per turn. And then we're playing 1 Tri-Eyed Dice, just another level 3 tuner that isn't Duke, which is nice. And then during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate the next attack this turn from a monster your opponent controls. This is a quick effect. So this can block an attack, which does come in handy sometimes. And then the last Speedroid monster we are playing is 1 copy of the Terror Top. Unfortunately, this would be an easy 3 of if it were still at 3. Hopefully this card does come back to 2 soon, because I feel like it would be fine at 2 since Invoker is gone. And the only deck that I could really see abusing the Terror Top engine would be a deck like BA, which isn't really too big of a threat at the moment anyways to become sort of like a tier 0 deck with triple Terror Top. I just don't think it'll happen. But anyways, moving on, we have 2 copies of Wind Witch Glassbell. This card is nice because it gets this card to our hand, which can be used to great effect to be able to make, get easy access to level 1 tuners, and also make any monster that's summoned with it, unable to be destroyed by card effect, which is really strong, especially when you're going to Crystal Wing with this card. But yeah, if this card is normal or special summon, you add 1 Wind Witch monster from your deck to your hand, which is nice. And then the 2 copies of the Snowbell as our search target. If you control 2 or more wind monsters and no non-wind monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. A wind synchro monster that was summoned using this card as synchro material cannot be destroyed by an opponent's card effects. And the effect to summon this card while you control 2 or more non-wind or 2 or more winds is not a hard once per turn either. So if you have multiple copies of these, you can just summon them both to the field to help make tons of synchro plays, which is really nice. I believe I did a test hand with this deck, and it was like I opened 2 of these, this Speed Lift and Speedroid Recovery, and I ended with Rubber Band Shooter and double Crystal Wing that can't be destroyed by card effects, which was really strong. Hard board to out unless you've got the right cards, of course. And then the last monster we're playing is 1 Tempest Dragon, Ruler of Storms. This card fits so well in here. It's a level 7 that we can constantly keep recurring out of the graveyard or out of our hand to make a level 8 synchro with, or just link with. It's such a powerful card. It's just extra damage as well, and we play all wind monsters in the main deck, so this card is theoretically never going to be dead. We're always going to have, at least in some cases, going to have targets engraved to banish. So that is it for the monsters. Quite a few monsters there in the main deck. I'm not running hand traps just because I often opt to not run hand traps in my build, just because I love seeing combo pieces. I love playing more combo oriented decks, and I know hand traps are probably the better call. But again, like, you could easily find room for 3 copies of Ash Blossom in here probably. It's just up to you. It's up to you. Then we play 3 Speed Recovery for the first cards in the spell lineup here. This is basically Monster Reborn for Speedroids. Target a Speedroid monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Then target 1 Speedroid monster in your graveyard, add to your hand. So again, Speed Recovery, not a hard one. So if you open up multiples, you have multiple copies of Monster Reborn, which is really, really nice. And it also has the effect to add back a Speedroid from grave. And one thing I want to mention regarding Tempest, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, and if I did, just ignore this, I guess. But Horse Stilts has effect where if it's in the graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it to send a wind. So you can banish it to basically just dump Tempest to the graveyard for free, which is really strong. Then we have 3 copies of Speed Lift. This card can be dead sometimes, but it's such a strong card to open with, because if you control exactly 1 tuner and no other monsters, special summon 1 level 4 or lower Speedroid monster from your deck. Neither player can activate cards or effects when that monster is special summoned. So the only downside of this card is you can't summon Terror Top off of it. I mean, you can, but the Terror Top effect will not activate because of that last part there on Speed Lift. But you can basically just summon Take-Time Borg from your deck and then tribute that for another tuner, or summon any of your other Speedroid monsters that you may need. So this card is a good starter card, a good extender. But the only thing that sucks is you can only activate it while you control tuner monster. So this is a card I probably would consider maybe cutting to 2, but seeing it, turn 1 is really nice because it does kind of speed jump your combos there. 2 copies of Desires. Do play a lot of 3-ofs in the main deck, so draw power is something this deck definitely needs, so definitely going to play that. 2 Return of the Dragon Lords. We summon a lot of dragons in this deck. A lot of the monsters we summon out from the extra deck are dragons: Clearwing, Crystal Wing, Stardust, you name it. A lot of dragons in the extra deck, so playing these to reborn those sometimes can be the difference between winning and losing a game. 1 copy of Reasoning. We play tons of different levels in the main deck, and this card pretty much can either set your grave out with a Dendaiko Duke or any tuner monster, or it can get you a free monster on board to work with. 1 Foolish Burial for dumping cards like Daiko Duke to the graveyard, tuners that we need to summon off of Duke, or dumping Tempest to the grave. Then 1 for 1, and 1 copy of the Monster Reborn, just because Monster Reborn is a great extender in here, as you might have expected. Then moving on to the extra deck to start, we'll start off with the Lynx. 1 copy of Great Fly. It is a generic, just 2 wind monsters. We can get into it really easy, and when it's destroyed by battle or card effect, we can add back a wind from our grave. And then 2 copies of the High Speedroid Rubber Band Shooter. This card is the money. All it takes is 2 wind monsters, and then during your main phase, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 wind monster. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the rest of the turn, except synchro monsters. Then it has the effect where it says you can banish 1 wind synchro monster from your extra deck, reveal 1 Speedroid, or reveal 2 Speedroid monsters with different names from your deck, whose total level is equal to the level of the other, or equal to the level of that synchro monster. Your opponent randomly picks 1 for you to add to your hand, and you send the other to the graveyard. You can only use each effect of High Speedroid Rubber Band Shooter once per turn. So basically, you start off with this card and banish, per se, Clearwing to reveal a copy of Yugioh, or a copy of Terror Top. And then basically, whatever you get to your hand, you use that effect of Rubber Band Shooter to get that extra normal summon to either revive the Terror Top to search another card, or normal summon the Terror Top to search something else, to summon out something else. It's such an amazing card. It's a searcher, it sets up your graveyard, and it's like a pseudo brilliant fusion. It's really, really strong. Definitely got to play it at 2. Then 2 copies of Clearwing Synchro, or Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, because you can make 2 of these in a single turn on really good turns, so this card is nice. 1 High Speedroid Kite Drake. I love this card. It's my favorite monster in the extra deck. I just love the artwork on it. It takes 1 wind machine tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. If this card is synchro summon, you can activate 1 of these effects, destroy all other cards on the field, and or negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls. If this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, or by an opponent's card, you can add 1 Speedroid monster from your deck to your hand. So Kite Drake, a very formidable opponent. He hits the field, he's like a Black Rose, or he just skill drains all cards that your opponent controls that are face up. So it can be a very powerful card to go into. 1 Stardust Dragon. Just another level 8 that you can banish off of your rubber band shooter, although you can make him pretty easily if you don't want to make Kite Drake, if you don't want to like blow up your whole field. So yeah, this was also supposed to be a copy of Mistworm. It can be. Mistworm is a card I was playing in here, but I don't have it, so I'm just playing Stardust Dragon as a replacement. Then 2 copies of Clearwing Synchro Dragon. This is a proxy. I'm waiting on another one. I thought I ordered 2, but I guess I didn't. You definitely need to play 2 Clearwing in here because most of the time one of these guys just exists only to be banished off of your rubber band shooter. So you want to play another copy to be able to go into later because you will go into it. 1 copy of Clearwing Fast Dragon. He is fast as hell. He's super fast. 1 speedy boy. No, he's a really good level 7 to go into because all he takes, of course, is 1 tuner, 1 more non-win or tuner win monsters, and then during either player's turn, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls that was special summoned from the extra deck until the end of this turn. Change its attack to 0. Also, that face-up monster has its effects negated. So yeah, and then if this card in the monster zone is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place this card in your pendulum zone. And then it has a pendulum scale effect, which can be pretty relevant. So you can send 1 face-up Speedroid tuner and 1 face-up non-tuner monster you control to the graveyard, whose total levels equal 7. Special summon this card from your pendulum zone. You can only use this effect of the Clearwing Fast Dragon once per turn. So it actually has a built-in effect for Speedroids, which is pretty cool. But it's a nice level 7 you can bring out that can just make any extra deck monster 0 and negate its effects. Now, this is the only non-wind I'm playing in the extra deck because this card you can make pretty easily, and it's like one of the only cards and the only level 7s that we can readily access that can out cards that can't be targeted, or destroy by battle or card effects or whatever. Cyber's Quantum Dragon is a nice card to play in here. I know there's a restriction on wins in here, but that only comes up when you resolve Tiktomborg. So you might not make this card turn 1, but later in the game, you can definitely make this card pretty easily off of just a Yo-Yo or a Horse Stilts, and just make this an outright, out a card you wouldn't be able to out otherwise. So I love the Quantum Dragon in here. 1 Kendama, just a level 6. It doesn't come up that often. If you want to banish it off of your high-speed red rubber band shooter for 2 level 6s, definitely a viable option. And then if it's in your graveyard while you control no cards, you can just special summon it back for free. Which is really nice, but you can't normal summon or set the turn you activate that effect. But sometimes if they completely wipe your field, you can just reborn this card back and maybe possibly swing for game, so that can come up. 1 Charge Warrior for the draw, and 2 copies of the High Speed Roid Chanbara. This card allows you to OTK, essentially. So if you do have to go second, you do have cards in the extra deck that allow you to punch for massive damage. This and Great Fly you can put on a lot of damage because it starts its attack, for 27, and then swings for 29, which is over half of your opponent's life points there. But yeah, that's it for the extra deck and the main deck. Now we'll go and do a test hand sequence and maybe a combo as well, so stick around for that. Okay, so now we'll go into the test hand portion of the deck profile, and I appreciate you guys with all that had all the feedback on the last deck profile. If you guys wanted to see these more often in deck profiles, and we can definitely do that because I see that it definitely can help out a lot of people learning the decks that they're trying to see how to build. So we'll do a test hand here, and we'll start by drawing 5 cards. We draw 2 copies of Horse Stilts, Snowbell, and a Tempest. This hand isn't the best hand. We'll see what we can make happen here. But this hand is pretty simple. I'm going to start by normaling Horse Stilts and using Stilts effect to summon the Tri-Eyed Die from our hand. And then we'll special summon Snowbell while we control 2 or more winds. And then we'll link these 2 into a copy of Rubber Band Shooter. Use Rubber Band Shooter's effect to banish this, to reveal 2 Speedroid monsters from our deck whose levels equal the monster that we just banished. So we're going to reveal the Double Yo-Yo, and we're going to reveal the Terratop here. Because this will allow for some pretty cool plays. As it stands, we have a Tempest and a level 1 Snowbell on field, so we could make a Stardust Dragon that cannot be destroyed by card effects. So that's something we could do, but that's just at a bare minimum. We'll shuffle these up here, and then we'll pick one randomly, so odd or even. So odd, even, we'll roll the dice. So odd, we get this to our hand. We get the Double Yo-Yo. And that means the Terratop will go to the graveyard. Now from here, we'll special summon, or no, use the effect of our band shooter to get the extra normal summon here to revive the Terratop, activate Terratop's effect, and to grab a copy of Take Tom Borg. We'll special Take Tom Borg, tribute him away to summon a copy of the Daiko Duke, just like that. And then from here, we have a decent play that can be made, a decent play. Let me just move this down a bit so you can see what's going on here. So from here, we want to manage our resources as much as possible. We do have another tuner engraved, which is clutch. So we can synchro these two into a 7, and we'll make a clear wing, just like that, the real clear wing. And from here, we can synchro these into a crystal wing, which cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is pretty strong. So we'll put that there. And then lastly, we can use the Daiko Duke to banish itself to summon a copy of the Tri-Eyed Dice and synchro these two into a level 6 or a copy of the Stardust Charge Warrior. Allow us to draw an additional card, and let's see what we draw into. Draw into a copy of Horse Stilts. So we just draw so many Horse Stilts. That's not too bad, though. That's not too bad. We have a Tempest in our hand for next turn. We could summon it now, technically, but there's real no point. And also next turn, we have the ability to banish this to dump another Daiko Duke to the graveyard to be able to make additional plays. So that's just an example of how this deck sort of plays. Just kind of trying to synchro climb into some of your better synchro monsters, like Crystal Wing or Clear Wing or Clear Wing Fast Dragon, depending on the matchup. So just a little example there. Now we'll go ahead and show you guys a quick combo. Alright, so now this is a little 3-card combo I want to show you guys real fast. All you need is Speed Recovery, Speedroid Terratop, and Mecha Phantom Beast Tether Wolf. I know this is a one-of, but I haven't had too much time to flush out some combos with this deck, so we're going to have to start this combo off with the Terratop. So we're going to special summon it while we control no monsters to add a copy of Take Tom Borg, and then once we add that, we'll special summon that to our field, and then tribute it to special summon a Speedroid tuner from our deck, and that will be the copy of Den Daiko Duke. Now from here, we're going to normal summon the Tether Wolf to special summon a token, and then we'll link the token and the Tether Wolf away for a copy of High Speedroid Rubber Band Shooter. And then we'll activate the fact of Rubber Band Shooter here to banish a level 5 this time around. I know the level 7 is usually the main target, but banishing a level 5 here will also work just as well. And we're going to reveal a level 4 and a level 1. It's going to be the Red-Eyed Dice. Now, it doesn't actually matter which card we get to our hand because we have a copy of Speed Recovery in our hand. So the worst case scenario, it's going to be we get this. The best case scenario, we get this. So let's just say we get the worst case scenario and we get the Red-Eyed Dice to our hand. Now from this point, we're going to want to activate Speed Recovery to get that level 4 out of the graveyard, because when we normal summon this, we want to be able to target this to make it a level 7. Or this a level 7 rather. So now we'll use the effect to gain the additional normal summon, activate Red-Eyed Dice effect to make this a level 6, and then we'll synchro the 6 and the 1 for a copy of Clear Wing Fast Dragon. Put that right there. And now since we have a 4 and a 3 over here, we'll make another level 7, and this time it's just going to be the regular Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. We'll put that there, and then last but not least, you probably guessed it, we'll use the effect of Den Daiko Duke Engraved to banish itself to summon this tuner from our graveyard. And then we'll synchro the Clear Wing Synchro Dragon and the Red-Eyed Dice for a copy of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Now off 3 cards just like that, we have an extra deck negate, a negate in general, or the negation of a monster effect rather, and we also have still access to our Rubber Band Shooter for next turn and 2 additional cards in our hand to work with. So yeah, not a bad combo overall. I'll probably be doing more test hand videos of this deck in the future, as well as some duels. Let me know if you guys want to see that, and also let me know if you guys are liking this sort of test hand / combo at the end of the deck profile. I know you guys liked it last time, but let me know for sure you want me to keep this going, because I don't mind doing it. I think it's nice, but I still want to have the test hand videos and stuff to have their own identity still. Just full on test hands and stuff, which I think it'll be fine. So yeah, thank you guys for the feedback and stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And as always, guys, Winner Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.